Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. My name is Leticia and we will be doing painting in Photoshop. So I do want to tell you that this is a class for beginners. So if you do know Photoshop, hopefully you will learn something you don't know already. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. So I already have an image up here, and I like to have my line work on a transparent layer, so I will show you that. And for me, it just makes things easier. What we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and start painting by selecting the area of our image. Let's go and grab the magic wand tool, and so you click inside the area that you want selected and hold down the shift, click again, and click again. Let's zoom in a little bit because there is a part of the watering can that I don't want to miss, and that's these three little areas right here. I'll zoom out. And what I like to do when I paint is go to the select and go down to modify. I like to expand my selection by a couple pixels. The reason I like to do that is because this ensures that you're getting all the pixels in your painting. Otherwise, you do tend to get a couple spots, white spots or clear spots that don't show up. So by expanding your selection, you just make sure everything is covered. Let's click OK, and let's go ahead and pick a color that we want to paint this watering can. Okay. Great. So what we're going to do next is make a new layer, and I like to name my my layers. It keeps me organized. So now let's go ahead and I'm not going to grab the brush tool yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit and Fill, and since I've picked my color, in the contents you have a drop-down menu that you can choose from. So I want the foreground color. I make sure that that's what's selected. Click OK, and now everything is painted. And I actually don't like this color, so I'm going to choose another color, and I'll go ahead and show you the same method that we just did. So I'm going to choose a slightly brighter color. I'm going to go back up to Edit, Fill, Contents, make sure my foreground color is selected, click OK, and that easily you can change the colors if you decide you don't like that, you want to try something new. It's as easy as that. So next I'm going to deselect my selection. I'm going to go up to Select and Deselect, and now I want to start painting the petals on the flowers. So I'm going to go back to the line work, click, shift, click, select my petals. Now it's really important that at this step you go back to your coloring layer. So select on that, pick a new color, and let's go with something like this. Perfect. I've selected that, and go back again to Edit, Fill, Foreground color, and click OK. And again, deselect this selection, select deselect, or Control D. Let's pick the next flower. Let's pick another color. Perfect. And this time I'm going to use the brush. And so at this point when we use the brush, I'm just going to show you and then I'll explain. So I start putting down paint, and as you can see, this isn't quite the color that I chose. So the reason that is happening is because the opacity is at 30% and my flow is at 100%. So you want to make sure when you're painting that you're aware of that. And this is actually a great method of painting because you have great control. So if I want to change the opacity, I can do that at any time. I'm going to move it to 100% and see now it's actually the color that I want. And if I wanted to change the flow of how much paint is being put down, I can do that as well. So this comes in very handy in different, in just different techniques of painting. So you can lay down more paint, less paint. And what I'm going to do, since this is selected and I want this paint at 100%, I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, and I'm going to again select foreground color, click OK, and now everything is at 100%. The reason I'm doing that is because I do want it at 100%. I'm going to show you how to add the highlights and the shadows in a couple steps. Let's deselect this. So Control D, deselect. Let's go ahead and finish off the rest of the flowers. So again, magic wand, select, shift click, and let's pick another color. Edit, fill. Oh, I forgot one step. We're going to go to select, modify, and expand. And we're going to expand that by 2 pixels. Click OK and edit, fill. And this is a relatively quick way of painting when you want something that I would say is more of an opaque painting. The reason it's opaque is because it's not transparent. It's pretty solid as far as your color. I guess kind of like watercolor and gouache if you do traditional painting. Let's pick another color real quick. Okay, edit, fill, click OK. Let's select the last flower and edit, fill, click OK. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and deselect, so Control D. And see, this is what I mean by when we expand our selection. So I miss a small portion, and I'm glad that that happened, because now I can show you why I'm expanding my selection. So I'm going to do a Control Z, and it takes away everything we've done. It takes away the paint. So I want to go ahead and modify the selection again, and I'm not going to do it by expand. What I am going to do is I'm going to grab the lasso tool, and that's another selection tool. I'm going to come in closer and make that selection by getting as close as I can to the black line. And if you miss some pixels, then just hold shift and do it again. There, color now. So we're going to go to fill, to edit, fill, content, foreground color, and perfect. Everything is now selected. Control D to deselect. Let's zoom out, and the way I zoom out is through Control minus. That lets you zoom out at in small quantities, or you can do a Control 0, and that gives you 100% of your image. What we've painted so far, let's go ahead and paint these 2 buttons, and then I will move on to the next part of it. Okay. So now the next step would be to add our darks. So let's make a new layer, name it darks or shadows, whatever you prefer. So what I'm going to do is with the eyedropper to get my shadows, and I'm going to select inside the watering can. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to stay within the yellow that I picked, but I want to come down and pick a slightly darker yellow. And I may or may not like it. I can come back and as you saw before, change that out. So now what we need to do is select again the watering can and go ahead and apply the shadows. So magic wand, shift click, and let's grab that brush. And this is where the settings of the opacity and the flow come in, because if we do it at 100%, it's going to be too strong, and that's not the effect that I'm looking for. Maybe you might like it. Again, that would be your preference, but I think this is too dark, so I'm going to undo this. And now I'm gonna change my opacity, and I like to start low and just apply more. So at about 21% as far as opacity, and then the flow, the same thing. Bring it relatively low to about I'd say about 25%, and then go ahead and let's do that again. So that might be a little too low, so let's bring that up to about 50%, and see how it's lightly adding your shadows. And I think this is too harsh, so I'm going to change my brush, and instead of a hard brush, I'm going to go with a soft brush. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the shadow that I applied. Let's grab a soft round brush, and we can make that slightly bigger. And so we can do that here by changing the size with the slider, or we can use key commands. The key commands are control bracket, the open bracket, and the close bracket. Let's see. So let's start applying some more paint. I think 21% is a little light, so let's bump that up to about 40%. And as you can see, you're starting to see more of the paint coming in. And this is, really, it's just trial and error. You try, you see if you like it. If you like it, it looks good. Wonderful. If you don't, you can undo easily. Okay, so I just noticed something. So that the dark color is being applied in the wrong layer. And that's something that you have to be careful with, as you can see. So let's go ahead and deselect, let's go ahead and erase that shadow. Let's do that again. And instead of being in the line work layer, let's go to the darks. So see how I'm just doing it ever so lightly. It's coming in, it looks nice. If you want to add more, let's get those little spots right here. Grab the magic wand tool again, zoom in, and grab these, grab those areas. Let's grab the brush again and then start painting. And as you can see, you can paint, you don't have to have a small brush. The reason why is because we're painting just on the selection, so you don't have to worry about being super precise in that you're only painting on your selection, which is great. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to deselect here, and let's go ahead and make some shadows on the flowers. So we'll go back to the line work layer and the magic wand, select and go back to our darks layer, and with the eyedropper, pick the color of the flower, go back to our color menu, and now I want to pick something that's slightly darker. Let's deselect this selection, Control D, grab the magic wand. You can either get it through the toolbar, or you can press W and you get the magic wand back. So click, shift click to select this flower. Grab the brush. Again, you can either get it through the toolbar or you can press B and that'll bring you back the brush. Now I want to select a darker orange than what I have here. So with the eye picker, which is I, you can select that, come down here and pick a darker color, go back to press B for the brush and start painting. Same. And you just keep repeating this method until you're happy with your selection. Alright, so let's go ahead and pick a darker red. This looks good. And let's grab that brush again and start painting. Okay, let's see. Great. And don't worry if you start painting and you think something's too dark, you can grab the erase tool, and if you've either painted in the wrong spot or you think it's too dark, you can go ahead and erase. And once you start painting with Photoshop, you'll get to experiment and figure out what you like. So if I want to change the opacity and the flow, I can do that with the erase tool as well. And yeah, it just lightens, it has a different effect as far. It's not like erasing completely solid. If you can see what I just did here, it's doing it in steps. So, all right, so that's one way. That's another way you could paint if you wanted to lay down paint and then take paint away. You just go back and forth with the erase tool. You've got nice control over how much paint you want to take out. Just like you do when you're painting, you have control over how much paint you lay down. So let's deselect this flower and do the other two, and then we'll do the highlights. Brush. Let's pick this color, go down to colors, and let's pick a darker fuchsia grab the brush tool again and start painting. And you can change the opacity if you want. See it a little darker coming in, adding a little more paint. Okay, let's deselect this. So Control D, Magic Wand, W, click, Shift, click. The eye for the eyedropper, and let's select a darker fuchsia, grab the brush again and start painting. Alright, now let's go ahead and deselect this one more time. Let's make a new layer, and this is going to be our highlights. And it's the same method. You keep selecting the part of your image that you want to paint, the part of your drawing you want to paint. So now I do want you to notice this. With every layer visible, when I made this selection, it's no longer painting, or I'm sorry, it's no longer selecting this entire part of the watering can. What it's selecting is selecting the pixels on what I click. So I'm going to deselect, and I am going to so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the colored layers, go on the line layer, click, Shift. Now let's turn these layers back on, and let's click on the highlights layer. What we want to do is actually go back to the medium layer, click on the eyedropper, and this time I want to select a light for our highlights. Go back to the highlight layer, grab the brush, and start painting. Go ahead and deselect this selection and grab let's close off the layers, select, and let's turn all the layers back on. We're on our we are on our highlights, and let's close the darks temporarily. Pick our medium color with the eyedropper. We've got that. Now what we want to do is select a light color. And grab the brush and start painting. layers are visible, go back to the highlight, grab your brush, and start painting. Now if we want to go ahead and start erasing, start blending, we can do that. Whatever you want to do. Again, it's just about practicing and figuring out what looks good to you. So I'm going to show you the paint on each layer so you can see as we've painted where the color has been placed. So this is our highlights, and this is where I have placed just a little bit of paint just to give it the highlights. Close that layer. Let's show you our darks, and then close that and show you this is our medium. So you can start this as your base. I like to do them in separate layers just because at any time I can come in and decide, well, I want to change that up, go ahead and make changes. What I've done is I've added another layer, and this will be the background, so I'm just going to paint in some background, and I will be done with our tutorial for today. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, go ahead and give us a call at any time down here at the DMS, or make an appointment with us. We would love to help you guys on any of your creative projects.
Digital Media Studio.